So we're going to kind of switch gears and move over to anxiety right now. I want to go back to insecure and secure attachments because I definitely have more on that subject matter, but I thought maybe we'd start with some anxiety and kind of go into, like we did with the insecure to secure and the self-love, discipline, and discovery, on what are some areas in our life that we could start becoming aware of anxiety and then start decreasing anxiety. And what does that look like? In therapy, what is normally done is we figure out, okay, what's going on in your life right now, right? Are we depressed? Are we anxious? Are we having some negative reactions? And then why are we having these? Where are they coming from? Are they stemming from the past, or are they coming from the future because we don't have a plan? Or is it just something acute that has occurred, like a death in the family or a loss of a job? Or maybe you're transitioning from college to normal workforce, or even high school to college, right? There's different aspects of our lives where issues come up, and sometimes we don't understand why, and we need some help discovering these things. So here with anxiety, one of the things is we can find that we're stuck in a loop of anxiety, and perhaps we wondered, why am I like this, or what's even causing it, right? And of course, you're not alone in that aspect. A lot of people sometimes don't understand where it's coming from. So we're going to talk about building awareness around anxiety. This is the aspect that we are going to be working on in this video of our lives, and how we can start understanding and changing perhaps a little bit. And so how can we do this, right? Where can we start in our lives for this? Well, we can start noticing that anxiety is actually in our body. The truth about anxiety, or really any feeling or any reaction, is that it often speaks through our body first, and then our mind catches up with that. That's a really great way. And I think it's a survival mechanism, right? If we see danger, our body will hopefully react first, and then our mind will catch up with that. So perhaps we'll be running away from danger before, our mind has let us know that this happens. But it's the same way with any emotion. And I work with kids and some teens, and even some adults, to be honest. They haven't quite learned this tool yet. But where does it start in our body? Like, where are we feeling it? So do we have a tight chest, right? Or do we have a racing heart? Do we have tension in our jaw or shoulders? Do we have butterflies or nausea in our stomachs? Are we shallow breathing, or are we holding our breath? So sometimes we're so used to these sensations that we just stop noticing them altogether. But tuning in is the key. It's like catching a whisper before it becomes a scream. And hopefully we start tuning in, and then once we tune into this, we can actually start pausing before we start reacting, so that we can get to where we want to be in life and not just get the negative reactions that we do not want. And so how do we do this? Well, we can practice body scans. So that means you lay down and you sit still, and you move your awareness from your toes to your head, and you just notice what's there. And you do it so you don't judge as well. You can keep a body map journal. So that means you're going to note physical sensations when anxiety spikes, what you were doing and what you're thinking and how it shifted. And nowadays we have phones, so it's a really great place to actually keep track of this stuff, and then explore it a little bit more at home when you can't quite explore it outside. And you're going to pair body awareness with grounding techniques. So like putting your hands under cold water, maybe stomping your feet, or simply breathing into your belly. And your body isn't portraying you when we have these signs. That's important to know. It's actually just informing you that, hey, something is not right. And sometimes we just recognize that and we say, hey, thanks, thanks for letting me know. Like, if I were to skydive, like, something could happen. Of course I should be anxious a little bit, but I'm going to do it anyways because I have all these precautions. Okay, so now let's move on to another area where we can start developing awareness. So we can identify triggers and maybe start even tracking some thoughts. And so triggers are those moments that spike your anxiety like a fire alarm going off. Triggers can be loud and they can be obvious, or they can be incredibly subtle. It just depends. And so what can some triggers be for people? Well, it could be a crowded room. a certain tone in a voice, your phone buzzing with a message from somebody, fear of disappointing others, and even just sitting still for too long. So what matters is your pattern. And not everyone has the same triggers, and that's okay, right? We have to find and understand our own triggers so we can work on them. So thoughts do matter as well, and often anxiety is fueled by invisible stories playing on repeat in our head. So what are some of these thoughts we can have? Well, I'm not good enough. Something bad is going to happen, or I have to get this perfect. What do we try, right? How do we fix this? Well, noticing first, right? We have to stop and notice that we're having these feelings, these thoughts, these actions in our body. So use a thought tracker. When anxiety shows up, write down what happened, what you thought, what you felt, what you did. And you'll hopefully start seeing some patterns, and maybe you'll start predicting disaster before it shows up. Or maybe you're absorbing responsibility for things that aren't yours. And so this is important. Tracking is important. We do this like with our finances. We could do this with our eating habits. We should also be doing this for, our thoughts that get away from us or some emotions that get away from us. And so the goal is awareness without shame. Once you know the story, you can start to rewrite it for yourself. And what is the last area that we can start building awareness inside of us? Well, we can gather our tools and we can start learning our rhythms. And so once you've started noticing the body and mapping your triggers, now it's time to build your toolbox and understand your rhythms. And of course, we want plenty of things in our toolbox because we can't always go for a walk, right? We are sometimes stuck in a meeting or in a classroom, and we need to understand what other tools we can use in those moments that we have. So because anxiety isn't just random, it often follows a pattern. Like, do you feel more anxious in the mornings? Does social anxiety build up before a weekend event? Or do you feel depleted and edgy before your period? And you want to track your rhythms over a week or two. Notice what times of day or days of the week feel harder. This will give you power. You can prepare instead of react, right? So if sometimes for me, when I fly, it causes anxiety because you have to be there at a certain time. There's traffic in the way. How long is the line going to be to go through security? How long is the checkout line? And then I want to relax and have a coffee before I fly, or maybe grab a bite to eat. So I've learned now who I'm going to book a flight through. There's only a few airlines that I really love to book a flight because I can pick a seat or do an early bird or something, right? And then the other one is I make sure that I get up early in enough time. So does that mean I pack the night before? Probably. Maybe the afternoon before. Do I make a checklist? Most of the time I just do that in my head myself. And so it's really understanding what causes this, and then learning that in the end too, you can prepare all you want, but sometimes you just have to let some things go because you're working with other people or because life just happens. So when I go travel with my husband and we go on a plane, I just have to make sure I've got everything in order for myself to decrease my anxiety. And then I just remember, well, life happens and I'm prepared. And in the end, if we end up missing a flight, we miss a flight and we can just rebook another one. But that's a real life example of how I've gathered my own tools and noticed when I'm anxious and what to do when that occurs. So what are some things that you can have in your own toolbox to help kind of soothe the body? Well, box breathing or 4-7-8 breath. You can have a calming playlist, texting a safe person, affirmation cards, nature walks, saying no to that one obligation. And you can have a safe space in your mind, right? Where you go and you feel warm, you feel love. It could be someplace in your childhood, or it could be a place that you want to create in the future, or just a place that you make up in your own mind. And what works for someone else, of course, might not work for you, and that's okay. This is about experimenting and not performing. It doesn't matter really what somebody else does or doesn't do with their anxiety. It really just matters what you do for yours and what works for your anxiety. And so finally, just keep checking in. You're not meant to fix everything overnight. This is a process, but you're more, the more you know about your anxiety, the less it's actually going to run your life, and you are going to run your own life, which is really, really great. So building awareness around anxiety starts with tuning into the body and understanding your unique triggers and thought patterns and developing tools that match your natural rhythm. So this isn't about eliminating anxiety at all. It's about building a relationship with it, and one based on curiosity, compassion, and clarity. And so here we are again, right? Oh, wait, one more thing. You're not broken, right? You're becoming more aware, and that's extremely powerful. We have to remember that. We are not broken if we have anxiety or depression or some autoimmune disease or some disability, anything. We just have something else that makes it so we just adjust differently in life, and we make sure we have different things like tools in our life to help us along the way. And that's all that means. So now we've come to the comment section. What is your thoughts on this? Are you building awareness? Are you already aware of your anxiety? Is it really hard to be aware of your anxiety in certain settings? Are you trying to build your own toolbox? Let us know what's worked for you. Even let us know what hasn't worked for you. Let's just get the conversation started.